I'd like to call to order the regular scheduled DDA meeting for Tuesday, February 20th at 6 p.m. We'll call the meeting to order. Our first order of business, would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, Mr. Prosh.
Yes, sir. Vice Chair Walker.
Here.
Secretary Walkonis.
Here.
Trustee Bazzi. Trustee Kalouf.
Here.
Trustee Hyder.
Here.
Trustee Baydoun.
Here.
Trustee Barry. Trustee Nasserdeen. Chairperson Staley is excused, and Mayor Jacobs.
Here.
We meet the requirements of 6 for a quorum.
Thank you. Moving on to item 4, approval of the agenda with a change on item 3. We have the finance report listed for December, but we also have January's on there. So it'd be acceptance of the finance report for December and January of '24. Motion's in order.
So moved.
So moved by second. Okay.
Sir, item number 10 on the action items as well.
Oh, yeah, and I'm sorry, and under the action items, we're going to add number 10, nomination committee, 3-person committee to, for nominations for officers of the DDA. They will work on selecting who's going to run for the positions. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Who made the motion?
Motion by McConis,
Did that, yeah.
second it by Dr. Hyder. Okay. We have any presentations tonight?
No, not that I know, but I have a question. What's the officer elections?
Depict the,
Yeah, I get that, but
If you look on the last page in the packet that was sent over, according to the bylaws, section 2, officers of the authority shall be elected annually by the board in March of each year. A 3-member nomination committee shall be appointed by the chairperson with approval of the board annually in February. The committee shall nominate 1 person for each office and provide a slate of nominations to each authority board no later than 10 days prior to the March meeting. At the March meeting, members may nominate persons from the floor. Those nominated will present to acknowledge acceptance or signify in writing their willingness to serve as officer.
so we're adding that to the agenda.
That's correct.
yep, item 10 under action items. Nomination committee, 3-person nomination committee.
Okay,
So just to be clear, officers of the authority shall be a term of 1 year, commencing in May. Members may not serve in the same office for more than 3 consecutive years.
okay, so my agenda has, number 10 is public comments. So is there another?
No, action items, 1 through, look at the action items.
Okay,
1 through 9,
we're
right?
adding 10,
Yes,
you're adding 10.
B10.
yeah, B10.
Okay. Thank you.
And we already voted. So, no presentations, any community event announcements? All right, public comments for agenda items only. Anybody out there that wants to comment on agenda items only right now? Seeing none, moving right along. Okay, items for the consent agenda. We're going to vote on this?
Yeah, typically you vote on all 3 of A
Yep.
consent agenda as one.
1, 2, and 3. A, 1, 2, and 3.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Any discussion?
Yeah, can we get all this stuff
I looked
before
at those,
the,
I looked at all that.
earlier?
Oh, what stuff?
Like Friday, Thursday, so we have time to look at all this stuff, financials and,
Yeah,
minutes.
that entire packet was sent to you last week, sir.
was it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I read it all.
Okay,
Yeah.
once again, I'm missing something. All right,
Okay, all in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Moving on to action items. Item number 1, Garden City Police Department, license plate reader cameras, Ford and Middle Belt corners. I'm going to call up Police Chief Tim Gibbons.
Update to the board. So about a year ago, I approached the board about the possibility of board funding for automated license plate readers for the Fort Middle Belt area, particularly the heart of our downtown Garden City. It was predicated upon the city's adoption of automated license plate readers throughout the city. But I did want to, kind of weigh the board's opinion at the time. It was positively received. The city went on to purchase 21 automated license plate readers on the borders of the city. But we feel it's particularly important that since Ford Middle Belt is our heaviest trafficked intersection within our jurisdiction, and really the site of most of our economic activity, most of our crashes, typically, even if you commit a crime, you're probably coming through more Ford Middle Belt, there's good odds. The automated license plate readers, what they do is they pick up license plate traveling through those. So if a crime is committed, we can go back, look, and see the plates that went through. So if it was a red pickup, per se, that committed a robbery or a theft, we can go back and look, hey, what red pickups come through? Oh, hey, there's a license plate. It'll give us the data. We can go back, and we've already made some pretty notable arrests with that type of process, where a vehicle committed a crime. Most crimes are committed involving a vehicle. We're able to backtrack and have a lot higher success rate at making those arrests based on this automated license plate readers. They're widely used in the region. Dearborn's adopted them, Westland, Dearborn Heights, all our neighboring jurisdictions are adopting them. The rest of the city is starting to get them. I want to put them at Ford and Middle Belt. So city's going to fund the outside of the DDA. I was asking the DDA to fund the 4 cameras for about $12,600 the first year, $12,000, and for the second year, it's a 2-year contract. Going forward, we anticipate the price will continue to be somewhat stable around that area of about $3,000 per camera. The exact location, particularly at Ford and Middle Belt, we're not sure of. It'll be the one that captures the most vehicles coming through, has the best chance of catching vehicles that come through there and recording that data. In your packet, you should find, one, the description of the camera. It's the Flock brand of automated license plate reader. Their Falcon is what we've been using throughout the city. We have seen this used throughout the region, including the Michigan State Police have used them heavily. They're well received. Their databases are quality, so we share that information with other cities, and they share with us, so we can all coordinate kind of where these vehicles go when they commit crimes, identify the regions that they travel to. So even if we don't get an address off of it, or if the vehicle's not there, typically we know where it's traveling after it commits the crime. So it's solar powered. They typically rest either on poles within the area that are already there, or they'll place a single pole just dedicated for the camera. Great product. We're very happy with it. So are all the other law enforcement agencies adopting them. And so this is kind of our plan going forward. It's my anticipation, too, that as these continue to be successful, the city on itself will add more. But I anticipate for the DDA area, these 4 will be sufficient going forward. So, and that would be my request. At this point in time, we're prepared to actually request DDA to fund the purchase of the 4. We're confident that this is a program we're going to be with for a long time. And really, the exact mechanism might be we do the contract, but DDA agrees to reimburse the city, or it could be a direct purchase. I think the simplest is to join our contract and just reimburse the city for the approximately $12,000 per year. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I have one. Can you tell us about the ALPR use associated with this? Yeah.
Yep, the automated license plate reader use.
The one that goes a little bit further. Go ahead, tell us some more about that.
So
I'm going to check my notes here.
The ALPR, the automated license plate reader, is the device that's used. It's a camera. As vehicles travel by, it takes a picture of the back end, essentially, of the vehicle. which gives you a lot, actually. It gives you the license plate, which it pulls the actual license plate out and puts that in a database so you can search the license plate to see if it's traveled through the intersection. What it also does is take a picture of the back of the vehicle, so you'll know the color, the make, model, if there's stickers, any other unique identifying things, which can be pretty useful when you're trying to backtrack and find a suspect vehicle.
Is it also reading like registration, if they're due or not?
Because it picks up the plate number, we can cross-reference that with Michigan Secretary of State if we need to pick up whether it's that or not. But what we won't be really using these for is everyday traffic enforcement. If it's a vehicle where the person's crashed and they've fled the scene, yes, we'll use it for that. But trying to find plate violations and things like that won't be what we actually pick through for that. It's mostly for retail frauds, thefts, crashes, any type of, where the vehicle's fleeing, at least probably a misdemeanor crime.
So what you're asking for the DDA is to purchase the 4 cameras in the
Yep.
DDA area for $24,600?
Over the course of 2 years, so yeah.
Over 2 years.
$12,600 for the first, which the 600 will be including installation. 12,000 will be for the second year, and then it should be approximately that going forward. Per
Okay.
year.
And Mr. Prash, do we have money in the budget for this purchase?
There's 2 line item areas you could look at. One is contractual or professional. That line item holds finances that could do that. And then also another one is DDA improvement. I don't know if that would fall under that specifically. It's not necessarily improving, but it's improving safety. So I don't know how you look at that. Which also falls under, DDA improvement also falls under maintenance. So those
Yeah.
line items could handle that annual for the next 2 years. If I could ask a couple of additional questions.
Sure.
One, you were looking for approval for 2 years, and then after that, you come back for an additional 2 and 2 and 2? Is that how
Yeah,
that
I can
works?
imagine, yeah, absolutely. So, yes, because right now we're locked in for that price for the 2 years. If there's a price change, certainly. So, yeah, we would anticipate coming back again in 2 years, re-upping for another set upon a time.
Does that also include technology update for
You
the
know,
actual
So, yeah, so
devices?
what FLACA has been fantastic about so far as we've had the ones throughout the rest of the city is continuously updating the software, continuously making sure they're working. I mean, because this isn't a purchase of these cameras, it's a lease of these, it's keeping those updated and moving forward, like always being an effective product. So they're going to maintain it. They're going to keep it running. One of the chiefs who, they're extensively through a community out in the west side of the county, said, you almost get annoyed because they're doing so much, always making sure they're maintained. They're sending you emails telling, hey, we're going to be out there on Tuesday making sure this works. He goes, but what they do is keep them working. So it's fine. We'll live with the emails as long as the product works really well. So
For the benefit of the DDA board, how long have we had these cameras up in Garden City?
So we started the process of installing them this summer, and we purchased 21 of them. And what they have to do is, depending on the roads, if they're inside, they're actually on a Garden City road, they're pretty quick because the permitting process happens within the city and locally.
Okay.
The rest of it happens, so because Ford Road is a state trunk line, it's going to have to get approved by the state, at least 2 of them. The ones on Middlebelt have to be approved by the county. So we've had this process in place, and we have now, well, by tomorrow, we should have 19 of our 21 installed. And we started this summer, so we would
Okay.
anticipate.
In this short amount of time, how many stolen vehicle arrests did we get because of these cameras or any other crimes that were caught by these cameras?
So they are pinging numerous stolen vehicles when they travel through, and we are either capturing or chasing off or aware of the crossing jurisdiction. Depends if the officer can get to the spot in time before the vehicle leaves our jurisdiction.
But we have had some arrests.
We've had a few. In fact, the best one I'll describe is actually a utilization of 2 technologies we've had recently installed. Also, just to mention, we're beginning a drone as first responder program where there's a drone actually on the police station in a box, so we can send it up in the air and respond to things. So we kind of put those 2 things together and made a heck of an arrest the other day. A gentleman stole some snow blowers from a garage in Garden City using a stolen red truck. We started searching through the footage throughout the city, our automated license plate readers as they were leaving, and found a red truck that was stolen. We found out that from who the owner was. He called and said, yep, it was stolen out of, I believe, Romulus or Farmington Hills. I'm mixing up my 2 jurisdictions. But either they were stolen, able to identify the plate. We identified the vehicle stolen. The owner said he had an air tag in the truck. So the AirTag was utilized to locate the last known ping was in Dearborn Heights over by Warren. We sent the drone up in that area, located the stolen car, parked, did a search warrant on the address, recovered the snow blowers, recovered the stolen vehicles, and broke up a pretty solid theft ring. So our license plate readers gave us the vehicle. Our drone found us the vehicle at the home that we were able to do the search warrant on.
Okay.
So, so there's a lot more, bunch of little stories of the license plate readers picking up a stolen car and our guys either making an arrest or initiating a pursuit, or just sometimes it's nice to know that came through. You can tell another jurisdiction, hey, the thing passed through our town. It's kind of just an ongoing, and we don't even have all of them up yet. So we're doing pretty well with them.
Very good. Any other questions, discussion from the board?
Yeah, I do. So I was doing a little reading about this before, once I received the packet in the email. And so I kind of misquoted earlier, but can you tell me how you would limit the Flock's standard contract to limit the ALPR system's mass surveillance capabilities and permissive data sharing?
So this is within the law enforcement community, within Southeast Michigan. That's who we share our data with.
Further than that?
The
like
data is kept.
personal?
The data, we are subject to the criminal justice information rules based both by the FBI and the Michigan State Police. So any data or information we collect for law enforcement purposes, we're not allowed to share with anybody. And our policies do not allow us to surveil people for other than law enforcement reasons. We would search this data based on the suspicion of a crime and not the surveillance of people for any other reason. Additionally, the data itself is washed every 30 days. So the license plate is not kept in perpetuity. It is only used for, like I said, those purposes. We have a crime occur or something we need to find out about related to a crime, that's when we would utilize the data.
You know, I also was told, unfortunately, I know why, that these young people now have shields that come down right over the plate and they're reflective. Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
some that have no plates at all.
So yeah, there are vehicles like that. That's where actually Flock comes in really handy is, so let's say we just knew it was a red truck, with stickers on it and things like that. We can utilize that data, share it with other law enforcement agencies, just maybe the picture of the back of the truck. And that alerts other officers to be on the lookout for that. Or maybe it matches, in this case, let's say we didn't get the plate, but we got a red truck with the particular stickers this one had. We would share that with Dearborn Heights, Westland, Inkster. When they have a theft or something like that, oh, hey, look, there's the back of the car. We have one with that exact same car. It's got the stickers and everything on it. We'd share the picture with them. They'd share their picture with us. Eventually, law enforcement officers within the region are starting to look for that vehicle. And when it goes back out on the road to commit another theft, officers know what they're looking for. They can pick that vehicle up and stop. So it's, even if they cover the plate, this is still an effective law enforcement tool.
I've never had stickers on my car.
Lots of folks do. They brag about where their kids are, or they like Star Wars, or all kinds of stuff. So
So are we buying or leasing these?
these are leased. Yeah.
So every year is,
This will be every year continually.
12,000.
Yep. It'll be a recurring 12,000
if doesn't go more.
if it doesn't
You
go
know-
up. And technology it does. We were one of the early adopters of body cameras, and we're the early adopters of tasers and all kinds of stuff. It does. Cost goes up as technology goes up, but usually it stays pretty much paced with cost of living and things like that as that increases.
So total in the city, we would have 25 cameras.
Yes.
Does that put you at a price break at all, or is that already factored in?
That's factored in. The standard right now, I don't know how much we'd have to purchase to go less than about 3,000 a camera, but we would have to go a whole lot higher. I know an agency with 70 some, and they're paying around 3,000 a camera. So.
Okay. And then, just so everybody's knowledge, are they cameras or are they video cameras?
It's just cameras. It takes a photograph.
Okay.
So nighttime is flashing,
Yeah, it can get the plates at night.
so there is a flash component to it?
I don't believe it. No, there's no flash that comes off it. It just has the technology to be able to.
Infrared, so it picks up.
That's the word I was looking for.
Okay.
All right. So the reason I ask is, obviously you guys know we had an accident at the corner there. I'm sure video like that is helpful, insurance reasons and everything else, but if that picks up like that type of activity like every so often or just hitting camera.
It's really, it recognizes certain type of images it passes through. typically the plate in the back of a car. But just to add to that, what I presented to council over the last couple of years is an ongoing utilization of better and better technology to improve law enforcement. We are at a point in law enforcement where technology is really becoming just such a fantastic add-on to what we do. It's not just the officer's eyes and ears and nose out there. When you have license plate readers, when you have a drone in the air, and also what a lot of agencies are going to, like the Project Greenlight, where businesses are connecting their camera systems for particularly parking lots and front doors to the police department's camera systems so that they can, when an emergency happens, monitor it. In fact, there's a system called FUSIS, which we've looked at pretty heavily, that if you call 911 from one of your businesses and something's going on there, it will automatically kick the camera's footage, if with your permission, of course, only with your permission, that it would kick certain cameras on for us as our officers respond to see what's going on. So if you had a fight in the parking lot, it could kick the camera on and get that footage recorded to record the incident, and the officers would know what they're approaching. So if there was a robbery going on at the CVS at night, much like in Detroit with Project Greenlight, we would be able to monitor those things and start to see those things and advise officers as they responded. We're not there yet because we're starting with these, I think the two most effective pieces of technology law enforcement has right now is license plates and drones. But the Project Greenlight's fantastic, and as we find more Garden City-sized options of that, that's something we'd also like to go on. That would be us coming to the businesses, though, too, to talk about sharing those things, only with their permission, of course, as they do in Detroit. So.
Talk really fast.
So you're
I
look-
missed half of it.
Oh, sorry.
I was like,
We still cannot get.
tell me that last part again.
If you're familiar with
We're
Project...
moving towards video surveillance, is that what you're saying?
Yes, I did talk to to address Director Prosh's point about having videos of incidences. We're moving towards a place where we would probably bring to council and to the local businesses the idea of doing more of a Project Greenlight in Detroit, where your parking lots, especially your late night 24-hour operations or late into the evening where it's dark and crime is a little more sometimes likely to happen, convenience stores or drugstores, where you connect your surveillance systems with our ability to see them. So if we're dispatched there on a 911 call, like at CVS, the cameras of the lot and the cameras of the front door might kick on, and then we could relay to the officers who are responding, the guy's running out the door in the dress like this, jumped in this car, and he's heading this way. Combine that with our ability to have license plate readers, and if, as drone as first responders, we become a pretty well-informed law enforcement agency as we respond. So, but we're not quite there yet, but we are moving in that direction. Technology is just going
At
to
a
make
much
law
higher
enforcement.
cost, I'm sure.
So 4 cameras.
It's up there, but it's not as bad when you share it across the region.
4 cameras in the DDA area, 24,600, right?
That is correct, over the course of 2 years.
And Mr. Prosh says we have the money in the budget for it.
That's correct.
So if you guys are in favor of this, a motion is in order to approve this.
I'll make the motion to approve it.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Board.
Moving on, item 2 under action items is a maintenance contract for Gary's Lawn Service. He's had the contract for 3 years. It expires this April 1st. Our options are to extend at no change. He said he'll do it for the same price. He's not upping any money, cost. Or we can go back and bid this out. Everybody I've talked to has been pretty happy with Carter's Lawn Service. He does the Christmas lights, the hanging baskets, landscaping, trimming the trees, snow removal on the sidewalks in the DDA area. And then he submitted this extras that he does that's not in his contract. He sets up cones for Lucky Squirrel, Chili Cook-Off, or whatever other events are held. He cleans off new growth from the trees, picks up trash from sidewalks and flower beds 3 times a week. Twice a week is in the contract. Keeps eyes on the hanging baskets daily, checks holiday lighting nightly, resets GFIs as needed due to rain. He fixed the bench that was damaged by a car accident at no charge. He moved hanging baskets, fixed the sprinkler system on the poles when they were redone. He lives in the area. I drive through the DDA several times daily. If anything needs attention, I handle it. He maintains the holiday lighting, checking bulbs, wires, cords, and fixing as needed. So it's up to you, board, if we want to extend his contract with no changes in his pricing, or if you wish to send this out to bid, it's totally up to you. I'll open up comments from the board.
Keep them. I think we should just keep them.
I'd like to make a comment.
Yeah.
I've been there for, open for probably, what, 6 months now, and from before that we worked, that's really good.
Yeah.
Really good, and
Yeah.
you got a business right up front?
Yeah, so
You have a business too, right?
I've never seen issues, he's on top of everything.
Okay,
Honest guy,
The only
he goes
thing-
out of his way.
He mentioned is the area that the city lot, the lot that the city owns behind my lot, it's not in his contract.
right.
So he did mention to me to put it part of the contract. Or maybe it'll be one of the additional items because there's a lot of growth that happens back there that I took care of personally.
We can probably add that in. If he didn't have a problem with it, we can add that in, or depending on how everything else goes,
Right.
you know.
Just so that he does, there's a strip of grass that he does there, but he doesn't do anything on the actual lot around the poles and stuff.
I don't see an issue with that.
But I'm good with keeping him too.
Yeah, it sounds like everybody is. Mr. Prosh, how many years were we looking to extend? 2, 3?
The original contract was an annual one with 2 options to extend for 3 years total, is what is expiring at the end of March. So recommendation would be to continue with another year with 2 additional options to go. And then every year you could just look at it and see
Okay.
that you're satisfied.
Okay, then,
For a total of 3.
So long as it's not a significant price change at the end of the year, we don't have to put it out for bid,
right,
so.
okay, so,
And this does, if I'm not mistaken, the contract does not allow for price changing within those 3 years,
Probably not.
from what I read.
okay. So a motion is in order to extend the contract for 1 year, and then you said with an option of 2?
2 options of 1 year each for a total of 3.
Okay, motion is order for that.
I second.
Who made the motion?
Oh, I thought you said motion as well.
Oh, I think I did.
You make the motion, you second it?
It's fine.
Motion, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 6-0.
I got this letter that it came in the mail the other day from Mr. Bicknell, who owns a business on Ford Road as well, and he seems to be satisfied
Yeah, I
with
seen it.
Carter's as well.
We had enough accolades, I
Yeah,
figured.
sure.
you know.
I just wanted to point that out.
Randy, 7-0.
Oh, so, yeah, you came in, yeah, now it's 7-0. Mr. Berry came in, I forgot about that. All right. Item 3 under action items, insurance claim. We had a light pole that was in brickwork that was damaged from a car accident. So we're looking to replace it with insurance money. It's not going to cost the DDA anything. Insurance is covering it. I'm looking for my numbers.
So if I may, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
There was an accident that happened in December. Pretty extensive damage, took out an entire light pole, went through a few flower beds, some sprinkler heads, a park bench that Gary had fixed, and then a brick wall on the other side of Ford Road. This was submitted to MMRMA through the city's insurance. I worked with Mr. Miller on this. And the emails in here state that the approval was given to do the work. So if you look at CGE's quote dated December 12th, I talked with Gary at CGE, and this quote is still valid. So to replace that pole and any wiring that might have to get pulled from the next pole, The total cost is $18,761.67. Along with that, there's a quote in here for brickwork to be done at the total cost of $1,850. And then the third is for sprinkler head replacement at the cost of $600. All three of these were approved through the insurance. And as I understand, there's no cost to the DDA's budget. The brickwork, you'd be hard pressed to find people that are doing brickwork this time of year. So after quite a few phone calls, I found a company that was willing to quote it and then do that work for us. That is actually quite local here to Garden City as well.
All right, so it's not going to cost us nothing. It's handled by insurance funds. Motion's in order to,
What's the other CGE?
That's the next action item.
next thing, we'll talk about that next.
Yeah.
So motion is in order to go ahead and let the contractor fix these with the insurance paying for them.
So moved.
Yep, motion.
So moved by the Mayor Jacobs. Second?
Second.
Second?
That you?
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm late on the question. When will they, once we approve this, when will they get out there? John, do you know?
The brickwork, they said they would enclose what they had to work on, depending on weather, and would get on that right away. The light pole is a build and delivery situation, so we have to wait and see. I'll contact Gary immediately tomorrow and work on that. So I can update the board as soon as I speak with him tomorrow.
I heard ayes. Any nays on that? All right, that passes 7-0. Next item, item 4, is ordering 2 backup light poles. That's what this next sheet's for, 1 long pole and 1 short pole. We have a quote of $25,068.36. Mr. Prosh?
So after talking with Gary, you know, it was a recommendation that maybe we want to get a hold of an extra tall one and a short one and hold on to them in case we have a situation like this. The benefits of doing it right now are these additional 2 poles, 1 short and 1 long, would be constructed at the same time as the replacement one, and all 3 could be delivered at the same time as well, which is going to reduce delivery charges for the DDA. And what can all be happen at once, and then really it's just having them on site so they can be replaced a lot quicker than anywhere from 3 to 6 months.
I got a couple questions. First one, where would we store them? Where would we store them so they don't get damaged? We know where they're at. And secondly, we just spent $24,000 on the cameras. Do we have money in the budget right now to buy spare light poles? When we have other
Yes and no.
DDA, huh?
Yes and no. Yes, you could do that. I don't know if you want to do that, being that we spent so much money on poles out of the last budget. So it might be negligible and just, you know, ride that line and hope that we don't get another light pole get hit anytime soon. And as far as storage, I was working with Mr. Oman at DPS to see if we could store over there.
Right.
They don't take up a lot of room. They don't have to be stored indoors, and all the electronic components are separate from the pole itself until they build it. So it would be here and basically crated, but it wouldn't be built with wires like exposed outside or anything like that in the weather until it was needed.
Okay. This is just my opinion. Everybody's got their own. I'm not in favor of doing this because of the money we just spent. I don't want our budget to be too tight. These are spare poles. If another one gets hit, we'll do an insurance claim and fix the pole the same way we just fixed this last one. I just don't think we have money in our budget to buy spare poles, and then you got to hope they don't get damaged somewhere in the city, wherever we store them. But you guys, you know, that's why I'm going to open it up for discussion, but I'm not in favor of buying these right now.
Do we have a budget that I'm missing again? Do we have a copy of our budget? What we have?
Yeah, it's right here.
Okay, you have it. I can't find mine. So either I'm really disorganized or... Do you have our budget?
Yeah, it's in here. It was in here.
The opportunity to save the money on shipping is probably negligible in this case. And if you have damage coming from a pole from a situation, it's usually going to be covered by insurance. So it's being presented as an opportunity, but personally, I would tend to agree with Vice Chair Walker on this because of the fact.
Nobody has it.
Yeah.
How
I
long
have it
it
in my
took to
email.
repair
I
it?
saw everything.
Say,
I thought I had
How
it.
long it took to repair that damaged one?
Say it one more time.
How long it took to repair that damage?
It's not repaired. It's sitting, we have to get it built. And that's all dependent on the supplier.
How often are we replacing these?
We don't want to replace them at all for 30 years.
Correct, but I'm saying how often is there an accident that happens that we're replacing these? Is it like, has it been a lot in the past?
I can't speak to that. I don't know.
Any other comments from the table on this? What do you guys think?
I'd like to know, how much money do we have in our budget?
Yeah.
What's in our bank? I mean, nobody, this end of the table doesn't have it.
It was in the email though, because I went through that whole packet.
Yeah, it was in the
41
email, but
41 pages.
It's not in my packet here.
Maybe I neglected to print it. It went out, though.
I believe you, so what do we have in our,
Under maintenance and DDA improvement for the remainder of this fiscal year is $49,381.
That ends June 30th.
That's correct.
I wouldn't be in favor then with that low of a budget,
Yeah,
in my
I
opinion,
agree.
so.
Again, they're spare poles. We don't need them.
Right.
And then where are you going to store them?
So someone could make a motion to deny it.
Yeah. Motion's in order, however you
Yeah.
want to go.
I like it.
To
I was gonna
deny?
say the same thing. I deny.
Motion to deny this. Second? Second, Dr. Hyder. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? All right, 7-0 to deny ordering these backup poles. Okay, item 6, item 5, event date for the chili cook-off. Mayor Jacobs, you want to talk about a date?
I talked with Denise, Chairperson Stabley. We had talked about some different dates of possibly moving it up since the last couple of years. It seems like we've hit some either cold weather, rainy weather, not real good weather. And we thought about moving it into September. She agreed, and looking at dates, September 14th is St. Thomas is festival. September 21st is Lucky Squirrel. September 28th is real close to the, or they have a big event in a city, not a city event, but a big event in City Park that will take a lot of people away. So Labor Day weekend is the beginning of September. September 7th is available. It's a week after. Kids are back in school. That's what Denise and I had talked about possibly doing it then. Otherwise, we're right back into October and we're risking a lot of bad weather like we've had.
All right, so you're looking to move the chili cook-off out of October to November 7th, Saturday, September 7th. open up for discussion.
Tell me what was going on again? We were moving it from,
September 14th,
that's St. Raphael's.
yep.
Although, did you already confirm that? Because, okay, I know there's been,
That's when they told me it was gonna be.
Okay.
So that was
so we
confirmed.
chaired that for 7 years, and sometimes it was the 23rd.
I think they're quite standard to the second Saturday of September.
Are they saying it there now?
Yeah,
Okay.
the second weekend.
It's been a while.
Like I said, I
Since we
did talk
chaired, So
to,
just wanted to make sure.
talk to them and
that
they
it was
they
verified. Okay.
Verified it. So
Okay.
again, September, that's 14th.
14th, okay, that weekend's gone for St. Raphael's.
21st is Lucky
Thomas.
Squirrel.
Yep.
Uh,
The 28th, you said there was something in the park.
There's
Yep.
some kind of a big event, fundraising event down in City Park that's gonna take a lot of probably city people, residents to be down there. I think it would be a big conflict with our cook-off. And that's an all-day event. So then you're back either into October, or you can go the week after Labor Day, when kids are typically back in school, and possibly have some better weather.
Is there any reason why we don't think
When did we-
August?
Yeah, because it's a fall event. Chili
August,
cook-off
people
is
are
kind
still
of-
on vacation, they're
It-
usually doing that last,
That summer,
right
yeah, they're
before
still living
Labor
out
Day,
the
getting
summer,
the kids
stretching
out
it.
and going on their little,
When was the chili
Yeah, I know
cook-off
most
last year?
schools
Do you
are going
remember?
back.
Yeah,
October 10th, I think, or
Was it
August
10th?
20th, August 21st, 22nd, 23rd.
Right.
Kids are usually back in school, like end of
hey
August.
Siri.
You want to remember, it's chilly,
When is
so
Labor Day?
closer to fall season is better,
Labor
right?
Day.
And back to
September
school, I think, is a huge factor.
Yeah,
It's the first
Uh,
Okay, I
as
was
well.
making sure it
I mean,
wasn't
I
on
agree
the
with
7th.
September 7th, I think that's good, better than chance.
the weather could be cold then. I mean,
Yeah,
we've been at St. Raphael's semi-bundled also,
Yeah.
so, but again, I think
Yeah,
it's,
that's
I think it would help us get more people in than doing it when it's last year cold, rainy,
Okay, that sounds,
miserable.
let's try it, right? Why not?
That's,
Let's try it.
Okay, everybody's in.
Motion,
Motion is in order
September 7th.
for the chili cook-off to be on September 7th, 2024. Motion's in order?
And I'll second.
Alex
Okay.
made it, Lori seconded.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next, item 6, we have RFQ for attorney services. This is just to send out to bid for a 2-week bid period, starting this Monday, February 26th, to put out a bid for a DDA attorney services. And it'll be a 2-week window for bids, and then that'll be brought back to us who bid, and then we'll go from there. This is just to set it out to bid.
Well, it's a request for qualifications. and
Right,
then-
RFQ,
Then the board can choose.
for attorney services for the DDA,
Correct.
2-week bid period.
This was given to everyone, I think, December, and then I worked with Mr. Miller to make sure that it was proofed. All we have to do is update the dates and then send it out for 2 weeks, so you just.
What do you
Okay.
send it out to? Like, how do you reach? the
So
different legal
if you have specific attorney legal services, you can send it directly to them. Also, I'm going to work with the city clerk to send it through, as I understand, an electronic process that would
They have a state
basically
state
draft
site
it out.
that we
Okay.
use, that
Yeah,
I think
we
it's
use
called
that.
BidNet,
Okay.
and most everybody goes on it for whatever services
Yeah.
they're in, and then they just look at, if we put a road out for bid,
So I'll just-
construction companies that just go on
Watch it and
this
check the
site,
bids, okay.
yes.
Okay. Motion's in order to put this out for bid.
So moved.
So moved by Mayor Jacobs,
Second.
second by Dr. Hyder. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, this passes 7-0. Next item is purchase policy review If you look in your packet, this is our Downtown Development Authority purchasing policy. Does anybody want to make any changes to it, or just leave it like it is? I'm going to take a minute to read it if you haven't read it yet. But this is the policy as it is right now. We don't have to change anything. We're just reviewing it, but if you want changes, we can discuss it. So I'll give you a minute to,
I'd like to bring something up in regard to this.
Okay, go ahead.
That might be behoove the board to change. So Plant Moran did an audit that identifies everything that have to do with financials with the city. That includes the DDA budget. They identified an internal control that says we failed to follow the purchasing policy in regard to the lighting last year. So that was noted in their report.
lighting,
The lighting poles, when we
No.
bought the light poles.
okay?
So, that's all, that's one part. Then it was brought to my attention upon doing clerical work that I was to get I sign these check requests that go to City Hall. And then at some point I was told by the chairperson that I had to get her signature if it was anything over $1,500. According to the purchase policy, if it's a contracted or a contracted service that's already approved, I don't have to do that. But Mr. Marciniak was asking her to do that. If you read on here, it states these procedures are intended for purchases of items or products that are not required for services or services performed under an existing contract. So an example is, every month we pay $4,500 to Gary Carter. So for the last year, I've been signing those check requests, and they've been fine. And then all of a sudden, now I got to get Denise to sign them as well. That's not a problem, number one. We can do that. But it wasn't the policy before, but now it is. But that's not what the policy says. So I'll do whatever the board wishes, but I just think it needs clarification so everybody's on the same page. And it's very easy to write that in there. Just to say that any check request is countersigned by the chair or another board member if it's over a set dollar amount. See what I'm saying?
I think if it's something that's under contract, that we've already approved the contract itself, there's no reason for you to have a second signature on it.
Right, right. And that's the way this reads.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'll do whatever. That doesn't matter. I think because of, our issue with the light pole last year and the bids and what Plant Moran said and what we have listed, let's make sure it's clear,
All right.
for
So-
everybody's benefit.
My recommendation is, since sounds like you want to make some changes, let's bring this back next month. When you print this, the existing policy should all be in black print, and then any changes, type them in red ink, so we see the changes that you want to make in red, and we can vote on this whole thing at the next meeting. But that's normally the way you do it when you make changes to something. You print the existing in black and changes in red. And so there's no use to approve this now. It sounds like, and that's for anybody that wants changes to this. Send them to Mr. Prosh, and he can type them in red, and then we can discuss the whole thing. But in professional work that I've done, this is how we've always dealt with changes. That way, everybody at a quick glance can see this is what we have and this is what they want to change.
Yeah, the red line.
Sure.
So,
Yep.
But do we need to say whether we don't have to accept those changes? We can leave it
No,
as.
no, we'll have discussion.
Right.
And then,
To
we-
not accept certain changes.
yeah, we can say we
Sure.
like A and C, but we don't like B, or whatever.
Okay.
So, you guys don't have to listen to me, this is my opinion, but
What is the only change that we're really looking at though here?
Right now, there is no change, staying the way it is.
The countersigning, I would say another thing,
Why would we want a countersign though for a
Countersign's not listed
contract?
in there, right?
I know, but if we're paying something that's already under contract, We've already agreed to
that's-
pay them,
Well,
right?
he wants it better stated.
That's the,
So it's not
that's the
real-
discussion, right? That's the discussion.
It's not really a change, he just wants it better,
Oh, stated.
better
that-
clarified.
Yeah, okay.
The other, one change I would do, and it's probably
So this is
something
gonna
new
be-
because of, we've always had a salaried DDA director, where you're hourly now. I think your submission of hours, and I'm not casting any doubt, shadow, anything, I'm just saying, you're giving treasurer a statement that says, I worked X amount of hours, I'm getting paid by the hour. That might be something where you and the chairperson get together and go, you know, here's what I did this week,
Right.
something like that, just some kind of verification. You're not punching a clock, because sometimes you're out at the road, you're doing all kinds of stuff. I'm not,
Right. I
again,
understand. No.
I'm not throwing any,
In fact, the previous chairperson was like, just submit your hours, and I was like, I'm not comfortable doing that, so I made a sheet, and every 2 weeks I made him sign it. And I do that with the current chairperson as well, but we can, I don't know if that's purchase policy material, but it's probably something that you want to have for a non-salaried employee on, written
right, because
somewhere.
it's going to the treasurer, and,
Sure.
you know, we don't.
Absolutely.
If I can, one thing, like with the purchasing power thing, just so we don't run into any issue like you did with the light poles last year and everything. If there's something we can add in there that anything over 20,000 has to go to bid and cannot be overruled by a majority vote. Like it has to go to bid.
That's pretty much in our bylaws, but
Yeah, but just not.
our
in this.
attorney
And
gave
that-
us some,
And that's what a lot of the confusion was last year, and that's what this, and that was that, and back and
Sure.
forth. Just, I
Yes,
feel like anything, now we're not talking about 10,000, this one says like up to 10,000, but anything over 10,000 that can be overruled.
Okay.
I'll make that
Here's the
happen.
clincher,
That's why I think on anything over
any
20,000.
portion.
If you guys are in agreement,
you know.
I would entertain a motion to table this until the March DDA meeting. Take no action on it tonight. We'll come back with changes in red and go from there, if you guys are in agreement.
Yes.
Okay, motion to table until the March DDA meeting, a second?
Yes.
Yep, on the end. All in favor?
aye.
Aye. Any nays? Okay, we tabled that with a 7-0 vote. Next item, Community Development Director approval. Mayor Jacobs, you want to talk on this?
I'll talk for a minute, but I think Mike Berry would probably have more information. He, as you know, city manager and administration, along with Chairperson Stabley, Denise, and Mike Berry, also sat in on the interviews. Matt Miller was agreed upon by our DDA people that were there and the city administration. So that was the recommendation made. So this is formally bringing it up, and Mike, you might be able to say why you guys agree or disagree, or, you know.
Well, Matt has been with the city for years. Everybody's familiar with him, and his experience is, I honestly, when I sat down, I looked at all the candidates, and he was overly qualified in every single aspect. He's familiar with the ordinances. He's familiar with the city. He actually does a lot of the work behind the scenes with the city. I think he'd be a great an asset to the city if he was to take the position. You know, he was saying that he was motivated. He loves to go out of the city. He likes to go out from business to business, from door to door. We'd love to see that happen. I think, like I said, he's overqualified, and I couldn't see anybody else filling that position that was there that day.
Okay, so that was, again, I wasn't involved in it, I wasn't there, but as per our agreement earlier, you know, the board, if they want to back out of any deal, they can. So we all felt that it was best to bring it to the board to see what their opinion was, based on the recommendations we were getting from Well, Denise isn't here, but she basically stated the same things as Mike.
We had a meet and greet, and he gave a real good presentation on himself, so again, I'm in favor of giving this a shot. And again, if we don't like it, we can bow out down the road. So I'm in favor of, open up any more comments.
Well, I have a couple of questions. The job posting was up for just over a month, and I understand, even though we were led to believe the search was going to be nationwide, we should have assumed who's going to come from nationwide. And then there were only 3 people interviewed, so what was the rush to hire? Because I just found out he's not going to even start for 2 months. So why weren't we still looking?
It was,
What was the rush to hire?
there was no rush to hire, but
But
you also, the longer it goes, you risk losing candidates that had already dropped out, that had already applied. But because we had put it out when we did, and then we were waiting to get the DDA board to agree to the contract the way the setup was, we had people drop out. So that's the risk of not moving forward.
Well, that's not what I was told. The doc said that, or was it Denise? Anyways, one or the other, said that, oh no, it was Doc, that while he received a lot of applications, resumes, et cetera, that they didn't look good. He just discarded those and only found 3 to actually interview and chose from those 3. And so my question is, what was the rush if you only had 3 that were worth interviewing? Why rush to hire if you, someone that couldn't even start until 2 months later?
I don't think it was a rush, but if you get 3 solid candidates out of, I don't know how many were there. how
Well,
many
apparently, Mike
applicants.
just said 3 were not solid. He was the only solid
3 were
one.
called in for the interview. How many applications did we receive, Doc? Did
10
you?
or 12, you guys all saw the packet?
Okay.
Yes, one candidate did drop out that we thought was a top candidate. In the time from receiving the applications to the interview, the mayor is correct. So we actually had another candidate that we would have interviewed that did drop out. So time is not a good thing, but we also had solid candidates to look at, and we have the person that we chose, which is outstanding candidate. And I'm not sure if he mentioned to you guys or not that he received a call from another city that heard he was retiring from here to be their economic development director in another location. So just as easily, he could have just left the next day if we said, well, hold it off for a couple more months. What are we holding off for? I'm not quite sure. You hire, you go through the process and you hire. You can wait 6 months and go through another 3 people, wait 6 months, go through another 3. I'm not sure what the point is of waiting when we have an outstanding candidate.
You met him, right?
I did. There,
Is
you
there
know,
something that you
I do.
saw?
I do have a reservation. He has a lot of knowledge for everything back scenes, back, you know, like behind the scenes, and with the building department and all these things. But when it comes to actually, and this was from his words, the development part of it, that part was not impressive.
I'm
It was
sorry.
he brought in 1 business every 2 years. Those were his words at the meet and greet, if you did the math that he gave you. If he
Are you
said
talking
he was
about in
there
the
20 years,
City of Wayne?
yes, if he said he was there 20 years, 20 businesses came in, of which half of them actually fell in his lap because they came to him, and he was able to recruit 10. So in 20 years, 10 businesses, and he mentioned a Tim Hortons, I think a Burger King, those types of places. So I don't see a
I
great...
believe he was much more advanced than what you just
Well,
announced.
no,
but he
I was at the meet
he
and
was the
greet,
actual-
Doc. I
he
heard
was
him,
the
and I
actual
asked him
DD
questions.
He was the actual DDA director for Wayne for all those years. So if you're looking for someone with experience in helping run a DDA, someone actually has done it for years. I defy you actually to figure out how many new businesses were brought in this city in the last 10 years. Extremely limited. So I don't know if I'd look
That
at,
was
say,
gonna be
his
my next
successes in Wayne
Well,
were
I-
not successes enough because we're so used to extravagant successes here. I don't know how further you go with who you're looking for this position.
Well, even at the meet and greet, he did say that some projects took several years before he was even able to establish something there. So
Sure.
that would, I guess, would be the same case here in Garden City.
if there was a
I'm not,
beginning
I'm
and
not
end.
questioning his qualifications for other things, just this portion of it, right? So that's what we should address, because.
He was a
I
DDA
also-
director for all those years, plus he's got an entire background in planning and zoning and development.
That's-
I'm not sure what exactly you're looking for
Planning and
this
zoning,
position.
yes. Okay, so let's just look at this a little bit more. When I went down to City Hall, I happened to run into him, and I asked him a few questions because he was helping me. And I said, hey, can you make it to our meeting? He said, no, he was asked not to come. And I had a problem with that.
No, okay.
Let me
So-
finish, please.
Go ahead.
And then I said, well, can you make it to the next one? And he said, no. He said, I'll be gone for 7 weeks. And then, of course, I'm wondering, why are we rushing to hire someone that isn't even available to do the job for 2 months?
Is that a question?
Okay.
Today
That,
is-
there's, yeah,
Today
you can,
he's actually-
now you can comment, because
Today
see, I had
he's-
all this
today-
information coming
Today,
to
he's
me.
into several weeks of his planned retirement was to leave. He's got another place that he
I
had to go take
understand
care
that.
of. So by the time you would agree tonight, if we hired someone else, they'd give 4 weeks' notice to somewhere else. So by the time they would start, would be about the same time he would start here. So I'm not sure what your timeline is of confusion. But I
months?
believe the mayor has, yes,
I-
the mayor has a point, I guess, of,
Oh,
was he
yeah,
supposed to be
because then I
here?
have another comment after
I
that.
knew Matt would not be here, by the way, because he already planned on making his trip.
I know
So
about the.
it's- he didn't skip
the
this
issue.
meeting because we told him not to be
I
there.
didn't
He's
tell him
literally
not to
Florida.
come. What I told him was it was not necessary. We had a meet and greet. He has individually, I think, met with pretty much the entire board. I told him it was not necessary for him to be here. They did an interview. We had two board members, 2 city people that chose him. You wanted to go and do another interview with him at City Hall while he's trying to do his job.
No, I didn't. I was
Yes, you
picking up
did.
paperwork. I
Okay.
picked up paperwork.
And then you got into a discussion about
Asked
what
a
his
couple of
plan.
questions.
Well, it was more than a couple. But anyways, he's not required to be here. And to
I didn't
wait
say he
longer,
was.
I see no point in waiting longer.
I mean, is there a reason he should be here?
Not that I know. He did a meet and greet.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
So
at
is
the
there a
meet and
reason
greet,
he
there were
should be here?
actually only a couple of board members present at the
I think
meet
we're
and
just talking
greet.
about a bunch of points that we really.
And I asked if he was going to be here for this one, assuming that since he had been given the job, even though it wasn't officially said he had been given the
hasn't been
job.
given the job.
Okay, we'll agree to disagree there. But since there were really only a couple of board members at the meet and greet, I asked if he was going to be at this one, because as you can see, the table is almost full.
He came by my business person to introduce himself. to
Well,
me.
there you go.
That's what I just said. And he talked to,
Oh, Alex, he came by your business?
So,
and I believe he talked to Dr.
so maybe that was a good thing. Then I asked him if he'd be here, and he said he wouldn't make it, so he stopped by and seen everybody that he didn't meet. That's wonderful. Thank you for letting me know. I
Okay.
have another question.
You got another question?
I do.
Go ahead.
At that same day, I said, he said to me, I asked him something about I guess probably about developing downtown. And he said, I'm not even sure how I'm going to devote my time because the building department takes a lot of time. And I said, well, Doc said it pretty much runs itself. He laughed almost nervously and said, no, it takes a lot of time. So now we come back to this issue. Whether it be him or anybody else that's doing this job where it's working for the city and for the DDA, I'm not picking on Mr. Miller. It would be anyone that would have all these responsibilities. How are we going to designate the time between the two?
Again, if we don't feel he's dedicating
It's-
enough time.
It's going to be anyone in this position, not necessarily, you see what I'm
Okay,
saying?
Anybody in this position. If we decide he is not dedicating enough time and resources to the DDA, we can get out of the contract.
What
Oh,
are
I
the
guess that you're missing the
consequences if we
point.
get
Do you
out of the
understand what I'm
contract?
Yeah, but
saying?
the DDA
Then we
director
can
has
look
never
at
been a
hiring
full-time
another
position
DDA
where,
director,
I mean,
separate from the city.
it's a small portion of our
So it's not
downtown, our
costing
central
us-
business district,
It wouldn't cost us anything.
okay?
So,
The question is still the time allotment though, right? Like,
Again, we
Because
can
it
give
comes
this a
back,
shot
this
and
comes back to.
So your problem
to
isn't with the
this.
candidate, it's with the position,
It's right.
which we already
because-
voted on.
And that's okay. That part, I'm not discussing that. Just like the email, John sent this wonderful email. It had a 41-page attachment. I asked a couple of people walking in, did you read it? The answer was no. So people sit at the table and have a packet that they've never seen before because they're not reading it. I'm not going to point at people or say names, but that just came out. So along with that, we were given this wonderful book, right?
Not everyone.
Well, here we go again. Anyways, let me put this one away because this is not necessary at the moment. But for us to actually pay, John, you probably want to have to jump in at some point here, but we're paying for this, and don't we also have to have some kind of time that we see what's going into this? I mean, if he's sitting here at City Hall and nobody knows what he's doing, he could be spending the entire day doing whatever, building department that he said takes so much time.
I mean,
How are we going to know how much time
I
he
feel
is
like we can say
getting
the
put
same
in
thing
here?
about John right now. How do we know what he's doing in his time? Like, we can't assume everything that's gonna happen.
Well, here's the
He
thing.
might put a lot of time into the DDA. He might develop the DDA great. He might be able to do all these things. I mean, look at LA Fitness. Are we gonna say that was the fault of the last DDA director? 3 years back, forth, nothing got built, now we got a huge empty lot.
Well,
So we could say, what's John doing with his time every day? When he says
John
he's
sits
there,
here every month though and tells us everything he's done, right?
So
And
is
he
it-
provides
so
us
is
with a
he.
lot of information.
we don't know
So
if
is
he's gonna do
Matt.
that or
Matt's
not.
gonna be here at every meeting every month. So what's the difference?
Okay, so then it's going to be trial and error.
What's that?
I said then I guess it's going to be trial and error to see what he actually provides for us.
And that was the out that the DDA board agreed to was.
Okay, well,
if
we
we're-
can move on.
Okay, any more other comments from the table? Okay, a motion is in order if you want to approve the hiring of the Community Development Director. If anybody wants to make the motion?
Almost.
Motion,
Second.
second by Dr. Hyder. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Nays?
What's the third option?
There's not, it's aye or nay. Cast your vote.
Yeah, okay,
Aye?
sure.
All right, 7-0. Okay. Now we talk about time change for this meeting because we've been having trouble getting a quorum on several months. I know we have a lot of business owners on this board. Would it be better to move the starting time to this meeting on the third Tuesday of every month to 6:30 or 7 p.m.? Up for discussion. Would it be better for you guys? Anybody? 6:30 or 7 better?
6:30 works for me. I teach a class, so as soon as I'm done with that class, 6:05, I'm shooting to wash up and head over here, so I'm okay with 6:30.
My only thing is, I don't know.
Does it make much difference to you if
The
it's
day
6 or
tells me
6:30?
what to do. I mean, it's, when I'm with a patient, I can't leave. Or,
Right.
You know what I mean? So 6 or 6:30.
Makes
Sometimes
no
I leave at
difference.
5 and then I have to wait an hour and a half, but I have to attend to 6 other kids, so. With basketball activities, so I think 6 o'clock, this earlier the better, but I don't know until that day, so I can't really predict the future much. But
Okay.
I prefer 6 o'clock.
The earlier the better.
The earlier the better?
I would say the same. Like,
Earlier?
I was more fine with the 5 versus the 6.
Okay, so
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
sounds like you got, everybody,
Everybody wants
the
6
majority
o'clock.
want to keep it at 6?
6.
Okay.
Next.
Well,
So that stays at 6 o'clock.
we're not making any change.
No
This is an
change.
action item, though. Motion to keep it at 6 PM start.
I'll motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nays? All right. Meeting will still start at 6 6 PM going forward.
PM.
6 PM.
We're not going to here.
I want to see how many of you show up at 6 AM, just curious.
Already at work for an hour and a half.
All right.
If I could, Chair, Vice Chair, if I could comment, I know everybody has businesses and it's challenging. I've been doing multiple reminders, and just give me some feedback if you suspect you'll be here or not, so we can prepare, obviously, the packets and all that stuff, as soon as you know. Okay, right up till the day out, that's all.
All right. Item 10, which we added at the beginning of the meeting. I need a nomination committee with 3 of you on board to select our officers going into the next year. Officers of the authority shall be elected annually by the board in March of each year. A 3-member nomination committee shall be appointed by the chairperson with approval from the board of authority annually in February. So does 3 people want to volunteer to be on this nomination committee? It's not that big of a commitment, really.
What are we nominating, like, exactly? I know the officers, but what is it exactly we're nominating?
So you have a chairperson, a vice chair, and a secretary. Currently, we're utilizing or stating that the city's treasurer is serving as the treasurer for the board. But according to the bylaws in Act 57, that is an allowable. In the past, we've also had a treasurer, but according to Act 57 and the bylaws written, that is an allowable situation. So you have Denise, and then Mr. Walker, and then you have Lori Walconis, who all, if I'm not mistaken, were appointed for their first year this past year, correct?
Yes.
So the nomination committee could talk to those people and say, are you interested in continuing in that position? Or maybe somebody says, hey, I want to be vice chair, or I want to be chair. And then basically the nominations come back, and then the board places those people in those positions in the March meeting.
Yeah, they vote on it.
To be ready for May.
So, raise a hand, do I have any, I need 3 bodies.
I can also help facilitate that for anybody that wants to be part of that. It's not that challenging.
All these volunteers.
It's just,
There you
One.
go, Alex is in.
Huh?
Alex is in.
All right, what about you?
I'm gonna run for city council, so I can't,
Okay.
You can be on a nominating.
You can be on the nomination committee.
It starts now and it's done next meeting.
Yeah. It's not a big commitment.
oh, to nominate, not,
Yeah.
Just
You're
to
not
Not to
running
run.
for position.
right,
You're nominating.
somebody else for a
Yeah,
position.
helping nominate the
Yeah,
people
right.
for the position.
Oh,
month.
yeah,
It's for what?
Just
yeah.
till the next meeting.
fine,
You want to do it?
sure.
Okay.
Schedule's
Huh?
been swamped. My schedule's been swamped.
It's a couple phone calls, Mike.
Do it over the phone, you ain't gotta show up nowhere.
So we're soliciting people for
we're
nominations too,
just,
or no?
yeah, basically the committee would ask Denise, would ask you, would ask everybody on the board if they want to be in a position.
Yeah.
A lot of, in years past, and Randy, you can correct me, we'd get to the meeting and somebody would say, Randy wanted to run for chair. Does anybody else want to? I don't think very often we had someone come in, or the committee come in and go, Randy wanted to be the chair, Lori was the only one that wanted to be the vice chair, Alex was the only one, it kind of went
Yeah, it
right.
goes real quick.
And in this case, your officers could all on purpose stay in their seats.
Yeah, say, I'll do another year.
Right.
You can do this over the phone.
So, but the 3 people are doing the same job? Or are they just splitting, look, you call 3,
No.
I'll call 3, and you
I
call
would
3?
say they would split.
No. The 3 people of the nominating committee work together to get a draft of a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary.
So we could,
Work
each one
together.
of us talk to 3, and then the 3 talk to each other, hey, these are what we got, and then we
Right.
would submit what we got
Yeah,
as
it's
one
very-
group.
It's not very arduous at all.
All right, I'll take on, and then we'll just kind of be on an email thread? Is
Correct.
that-
Sure.
So we got 3.
I can help you facilitate that very easily.
Okay. So somebody needs to make a motion, Dr. Hyder, Wilconis, and
Sure.
Alex,
Yeah.
Alex are on the nomination committee.
I'll make that motion to put them on the
And
nominating committee.
do we have a second?
Aye.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? All right, that passes 7-0. We got a 3-member board.
What do you want to run for? I'm soliciting.
President. Our country's messed up.
Next item.
It's not on the menu. Pick something else.
All right, other business, Ford Road curb restoration project. Mayor Jacobs.
I have no update. That is Councilman Zach Witt that is still, to my knowledge, putting together information, and when he gets everything, I guess he's looking for, either from the county or state, whoever he's going through, he will bring it before this board.
Okay.
But you did have a meeting, an initial fact-finding meeting.
We didn't, it was
Yeah.
just throwing out ideas and discussing what we'd like to see, and different ideas about Ford Road and the curbs and, you know, all that basic stuff, getting ideas, and then he was going to move forward with getting some information of any grants that were out there, any other financial help that we could get, some of the permission and permits that we would have to get from the state or county, and he was gonna get all that stuff. So I would assume that it's gonna take a little bit of time.
Okay. Item B, discussion of office relocation. Mayor Jacobs.
Well, I brought this up a long time ago, and we've kind of, either for whatever reason, it's been delayed. We're paying somewhere around $15,000 for that office. With Matt Miller coming on, or even before that, we can move into City Hall. We wouldn't have the phone bills, we wouldn't have the copier bills, ink. Again, $15,000 a month that we could be saving. I don't know how much we use that office, that would be a John thing, but we would have an office available here, space here. So my thoughts were to move it over to City Hall and save $15,000 a year.
If I can make a comment, I talked to Joe Bartley, JJ in taxes, because he did my taxes the other night. Orange Jewelers building and that whole strip has been sold, and he said the new owners are raising everybody's rent. So the rent you're talking about is probably going to be a lot higher than that anyway. That's just food for thought for the board.
I don't believe that's true, but I can talk to the new owners.
Yeah,
They did not express that to me at all.
okay. That's what I got from Jay.
Either way, even at the 15,000 or give or take a month, that's, 15,000 times 12, that would more than pay for our part of Matt Miller.
The building, it costs $15,000 a month.
1,500, you mean?
A year.
A year,
$15,000 a year.
a year.
So, yeah, 15, it's 900 a month, I'm sorry. 900 a month is what we're paying.
If you
Plus-
like, I can give you exact expenses for what that office space is. A couple of suggestions. One is, get settled into whatever you're doing with Mr. Miller first, and then make some transition, decisions through that process. And I'm assuming that the city manager wants Mr. Miller housed here from the get-go, and then incorporate what the DDA does into here. Similarly,
I
I
haven't
can have a
talked to him.
conversation with the city manager about it. And then there's, like I said in the past, there's some stuff over there. So we have some content that we'd have to figure out as well. and what that transition looks like, that's all.
But we've discussed that several times.
Yeah,
Where to house
I think it's
everything.
important for Mr. Miller's presence here to be customer facing, like resident facing or business facing, business owner facing. I don't know if I'm using the right word there,
Oh,
you know.
he
But
can
that's
have,
not my decision.
yeah, he can have office facing right near the building department. There's space in there for that. There's also office space throughout City Hall that we could relocate them. So I don't know, I didn't talk to the city manager about starting him out here. I've been discussing this, I think, since December.
Sure. Well, it's probably gonna be a transition, right? Like figuring out what we got over there, you know. Clearly, there's gonna be some layouts figured out, I would assume in front of doing this transition, office transition.
Mr. Doherty?
Facing would be the actual building department itself. So technically, as City Hall's open all day, there's always somebody there to either take a drop off, somebody's dropping something off, or they want to meet with the director, depending on where the office is in City Hall. So it won't be where they go to an office and there's nobody there because he's on the street somewhere. There's always going to be someone, which is unusual compared to the past of the DDA. Someone's in the office or not, there will always be somebody here to take care of any resident or any business that didn't call in advance for a get-together. So the forward-facing literally would be the building department with signage for anybody that needs to speak with the DDA. So it'd be actually a better benefit than we had in the past.
Thank you. Okay, this is not an action item, guys. This is just discussion, so we can bring this up at a
Sure.
future meeting
Yes.
and vote on it after we see how things are going.
When's,
Well, I don't think you can vote on anything until we find out
No,
what
it's
are
a
we gonna...
discussion item only.
No, what
It's
I'm
just
saying is to even
continued
move it there, we have to figure out what we're going to do as far as storage for everything we have there. So just moving the office isn't enough.
Yep.
We'd also, that has to include a vote, when it comes to vote, if we were to vote on that at some point, that would have to be accompanied by moving the DDA's possessions.
There is storage space available.
John,
what?
the mayor just said there's storage space available for everything.
Yep.
And where is that at?
I can,
I want his attention so he can, because he's the one that's been going over there and
Going over where?
condensing to the office, the old DDA office, right?
Okay.
And condensing and trying to figure out where to house all our,
Okay.
house everything.
Well, there's
And
two-
when we've had this discussion, there wasn't room here, there wasn't room,
Who had this discussion?
we've had this discussion
First,
right here.
first of all, there's two parts. There's the office, and then there's the storage, okay? So, there's two parts. I've had discussion with the DPS about any space at theirs, any space at the extra warehouse space at Garden City Park, and all these areas to have accessibility to the Christmas lights and yada, yada, yada. But I can certainly have those discussions again.
Well, the discussion, first of all, I haven't had that discussion with DPS. I have a discussion with their boss, which is city manager. He has asked the DPW if there's space over there. They have told him there is. So that's them. If I go to Brad Oman at DPW and ask him, can I store something here? He's probably gonna say there's not room.
Yeah, but it's
I
not
have to
your,
go
it's
through-
not your job.
You're right. That's his job.
Right. No, nobody
So-
said that you were doing it.
Right, but nobody went to the city manager to ask him if there was storage space. They went to the DPW director. He's gonna tell you.
I don't work for the city. I can go to the
Well,
DPS and ask
okay,
them.
so you don't work for the city and they weren't hired, so the DPW guy's gonna say, no, we don't have storage space.
It's just a simple question. That was all.
But I'm not
my
trying to get an
argument about
But my
it.
answer was, there is space available to store things.
So DDA board, I think this is again a good relationship with the city is that we can do more things than if just the DDA board or Kiwanis calls up any department and says, hey, we want to store stuff there. The relationship we have with the city, we will have storage space for you. There's no question. So we don't just normally have outside groups call up and say, we'd like to have storage, but the relationship that we're creating tonight, as we've talked about before, these are benefits of actually being connected with the city as opposed to being an outside organization. So yes, we will have space for whatever you have in storage.
So,
So that works with like GCYA, they have space at your baseball diamonds and so on and so forth?
They use a garage at the baseball diamond? What does it
Yeah,
have to-
I'm just asking.
I assume they do, yeah. It's not a
That's
storage
city-
building for the
That's
city.
city park, right?
Yeah, that's part of the deal that we have with the Little League. How does that relate to this?
Because that's an outside entity.
No, I'm talking about any group that just says we want to use space. So again, I think we're taking this to another level of,
No,
this is
I'm
the
not-
point of the relationship with us, is the departments work for me. If we say we're working with the DDA and we need space for some storage, we will find space for storage. But I'm not sure what the relationship or the conversation you had with Brad, I think it might have been more of, do we have space right now? We can always find space over time, but Brad was probably more likely to say, we don't have space right this moment. But when I say we need space for the DDA stuff, we will find space for the DDA. So again,
No, it was
that's,
just a general question that I asked him, and he said there was no space.
Hmm.
And it was just a simple inquiry, it was nothing deep. And that was probably November that happened, maybe December. But it doesn't mean it can't be revisited. And obviously, if there's going to be a joint, venture with the city on this position and what the DDA is doing, then, I think city kind of has to honor some space. You know what I mean? I mean, there's no, what else are you going to do?
you guys could stay down there and store all you want, which is illegal, obviously, we also know that. For the DDA to actually use a building downtown for storage, it's actually against the DDA code for any of those places to be a storage unit. So this actually solves the problem of the DDA board having an appropriate use of their own building while they tell others they can't turn storage into buildings into storage. So we're good. That's, again, the symbiotic relationship between us and the DDA, the city and the DDA. We'll take care of any
Well, this is why it's
issues.
a discussion point, so,
Yeah.
people
Okay.
can kind of look ahead and figure out how that's going to lay out.
Okay. Moving on, item 10, public comments. These are for items that are not on the agenda. Anybody wishing to speak? Come up, state your name, and
Gimp up here? Yeah.
Yep.
Hi. I'm Jackie Perry. I live over on Belton, Ward and Inkster. I would like to see a part-time position retained for somebody to be employed by the DDA. The contract and however that works, that's awesome, but I'm in favor of the DDA keeping an employee, and I'll tell you why. Should the new arrangement not work out and you choose to withdraw from that contract, there already will be an employee in place for the interim until a new director can be hired or rejigging whatever it is that you guys are going to redo. If it does work out and this arrangement stays for 20 years to come, the part-time position, if it's found to not be necessary, could always be gotten away with at that point. The other things I was thinking of is the new director will need time to implement the program, put things in place, and again, it's just, in my eyes, covering both bases. With the Lucky Squirrels and the Chili's, those are very big jobs, and 4 hands are always better than 2 hands. So that's another reason to keep a part-time employee. Also, new businesses need a lot of attention. And if, I don't know what we're calling it, the economic development director or the community development director, if that person is working to bring those new businesses in and make them happy, then the part-time employee could be strictly focused on the businesses downtown and making sure that they stay happy. The other thing is if the DDA office does move over here to City Hall, the savings from not having to pay the rents and the insurance and whatever else goes on over there would probably cover that salary. So that's another thing to think of. And let's see, I think I covered it all. The other thing that I wanted to bring up was if the DDA is going to invite the public to a meeting, a special meeting, like the one where Mr. Miller explained himself. It would be nice to know before we got to the meeting if we were able to ask questions, make comments, or if we're simply being invited as an audience. It would be nice to know that prior to, if you're opening the meeting up to the public. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else under public comments? Okay, director's report.
Yeah, the Lucky Squirrel got launched on February 1st. In the last 19 days, I've secured 50% of all 3 of the events are full. So 50% filled. We have, I expect it to be completely filled by March 31st at the latest. And that's all I have.
Okay. We'll go around the table for trustee board comments. Mayor Jacobs?
I have nothing. Thank everybody for showing up and having a discussion. I think it went well, and look forward to doing it again next month.
Okay. Sir, you have
I
any?
don't have any comments, thank you.
Okay.
No.
Alan? You have
No, well, just one. I just want to thank John for all the hard work he's put in on the DDA here, and I hope he continues, and I hope we all keep him.
any? Okay, thank you. Mr. Mayor?
I
Doc?
have a question. I know it's, we talked about the meetings. Is there any way that the meeting can become a Wednesday rather than a Tuesday?
If we voted for it,
Okay.
that might be
Something for next time?
probably.
Well, we're all here now. Do we want to move it to make a motion?
Well, you'd-
Put that on the-
you'd have to-
Talk about putting it on
We'd
the
have to-
agenda for next time?
We'd have to look at who, if anybody has this, because we
Yeah,
might
you
have
can't
to move
just-
from the second Tuesday to maybe a second or third Wednesday. We'd have to look at what's being booked in this hall.
Can you, well, okay,
And I don't have
Because you
that
got
on
planning
me right
commission,
now.
you got parks and rec, there's other people that use.
yeah, no, I
So
understand.
that's something that,
So, possibly
Mr. Prosh, you could put on a future agenda.
We'd
And,
put it on for next one if,
yeah, look into it and see what Wednesday's available, and we can vote on it.
Any Wednesday is good for you, Don?
Any Wednesday at that point.
Okay.
But, no, thank you again, everybody.
That's all you got?
That's all.
And it's back to me. It's nice to have a quorum and have a meeting. That's all I have. This meeting's adjourned. Thank you.